Easter was a very good time for us to remember the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. But we must never forget that before Jesus ascended to heaven, he made it clear that he is coming back. Now, I know many people will be like, well, we have been hearing these things since the time of our ancestors, and Jesus has not yet come back. Soon has not yet reached now. Now, the Bible actually prophesied that he would say exactly that. Check it out.
2 Peter chapter 3 verse 3 reads, "First you must understand this. In the last days, people who follow their own desires will appear. These disrespectful people will ridicule God's promise by saying, 'What happened to his promise to return?' Ever since our ancestors died, everything continues as it did from the beginning of the world."
You see, but do you know that the Bible actually makes it really clear when Christ is going to return? I know. The Bible says that we will not know the exact day or hour of his return. Even Christ doesn't know this day. But the Bible says that we will know the season of his return. And I am not talking about the generic end time season. I mean, we're already in the end time. Come on. But I'm talking about the eminent season of Christ's return. And it is made really clear in the scriptures. The beautiful thing about the scriptures is that, one verse explains another. So when you're able to bring one piece here, another piece here, and you put them together, you begin to unveil so many amazing treasures and discoveries within the scriptures. And it makes so much sense in our time today. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be piecing things together for us to see clearly the season, the eminent season of Christ's return, and we can know how it applies to us today. And guess what? The time is closer than we actually think. Like, it is close. Now, rolling up from that verse that says many people are going to be saying, "Oh, since the time of our ancestors, you have been saying that Christ is going to return. Why has he not returned since?" And they're making mockery and all of that. Rolling up from that verse, we are told not to forget one important fact. Now, let's check this out.
2 Peter chapter 3 verse 8 reads, "Dear friends, don't ignore this fact. One day with the Lord is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like one day. The Lord isn't slow to do what he promised, as some people think. Rather, he is patient for your sake. He doesn't want to destroy anyone, but wants all people to have an opportunity to turn to him and change the way they think and act."
So we see clearly that a day to God is like 1,000 years here. Now, let's take this important factor and keep it in a box because we're going to need it very soon. Now, let's look at a very important prophecy in the scriptures, and this will help us in navigating our path to discovering the season of Christ's return.
Now, Jesus, speaking to his people, prophesied that the Jews will be carried off as prisoners into all nations and that Jerusalem will be trampled upon. Luke chapter 21, verse 24 reads, "Swords will cut them down, and they will be carried off into all nations as prisoners. Nations will trample Jerusalem until the times allowed for the nations to do this are over." Now, in subsequent chapters, Jesus quotes a prophecy by Hosea in Luke chapter 23, verse 30. "Then the people will say to the mountains, 'Fall on us,' and to the hills, 'Cover us.'" This was quoting Hosea chapter 10, verse 8. "The illegal worship sites of Avon will be destroyed. Israel sins there. Thorns and weeds will grow over those altars. People will say to the mountains, 'Cover us,' and to the hills, 'Fall on us.'"
Now, God gave Hosea a prophecy to tell the children of Israel that because they were not living to please Him, because they were doing things that were evil in His sight, He was going to, remove His protection from them and leave them vulnerable to their enemies. And the enemies are going to invade them, and they're going to lose their land to their enemies and be taken as prisoners. And so many bad things were going to happen to them. But He gave them a glimpse of hope. He told them that they were going to regain their land, and He told them when they were going to regain their land. But He did not just stop there. He also revealed that He was going to raise them up to live in His presence. And this is a reflection of the rapture. So we see three major things that's going to happen to the children of Israel. First, they're going to lose their land. Then they're going to regain their land. And third is that they're going to be raptured. And this rapture, of course, we know from other prophecies that it's not just about the children of Israel, but about, God's children as well. So now let's see the fulfillment of these prophecies so far, because we know that the rapture has not yet taken place. But two of these main details have already taken place, and this gives us confidence to know that definitely the third is going to take place, and it also shows us when this thing is going to happen. Now let's look at Hosea's prophecy, a very key part of Hosea's prophecy, and we are also going to take that first clue which says that a day to God is like 1,000 years to us, and we're going to see how that plays in this prophecy. It's beautiful.
Hosea 6 reads, "Let's return to the Lord. Even though he has torn us to pieces, he will heal us. Even though he has wounded us, he will bandage our wounds. After 2 days, he will revive us. On the third day, he will raise us so that we may live in his presence." Now, going back to the clue in 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 8, which says, "Dear friends, don't ignore this fact. One day with the Lord is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like one day." Then we're going to apply this like, I'll say, a prophecy formula. Applying this to Hosea's prophecy means that 2 days means two sets of 1,000 years, and the third day means the third set of 1,000 years. Now let's look at this. Day 1 is the first set of 1,000 years when Israel will lose their land. Day 2 is the second set of 1,000 years when Israel will be revived. And day 3 is the third set of 1,000 years when Israel will be raised up to be with the Lord. Now 1,000 years equals 1 millennium. Now let's apply this to the prophecy. After 2 days means after 2 millenniums, he will revive us. On the third millennium, he will raise us so that we may live in his presence.
So we see that during the first day, that is the first 1,000 years period, Israel was going to lose their nation and be taken as prisoners. Now we see that on the second day, the second 1,000 year period, Israel was going to regain its nation within that time frame. And we can see that from the third day, that is the next 1,000 years, in that time frame is when the rapture is going to take place. Now, all we need to know is exactly when this time frame starts. When do we start counting this 1,000 years period? Because we have to get the start date, properly so that we can count effectively. Now we have this answer in Zechariah. Let's check this out.
Zechariah 13:7 reads, "Arise, sword, against my shepherd, against the man who is my friend, declares the Lord of armies. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. Then I will turn my hand against the little ones."
Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. Now, who is this shepherd? Jesus himself references this exact same prophecy, identifying himself as the shepherd. Now, let's check this out.
Matthew 26, verse 31 reads, "Then Jesus said to them, 'All of you will abandon me tonight.' Scripture says, 'I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep in the flock will be scattered.'"
So we can see clearly that Jesus Christ is the shepherd. And when he talks about striking the shepherd, he's talking about when the shepherd is going to be killed. So we can see that the start of this is when Jesus Christ is killed. Now, many scholars agree that Jesus Christ died in 30 AD. Some say 30 to 36 AD, but a bulk says 30 AD. So we're going to run with 30 AD, and we're going to use that to start our calculation. So Jesus Christ died in 30 AD. So the first 1,000 years will be 30 AD to 1030 AD. The second 1,000 years will be 1030 AD to 2030 AD, and the third 1,000 years will be 2030 AD to 3030 AD. That's our first day, second day, and third day. Now let's look at the unveiling of the prophecy of Hosea. Now we see that Jesus Christ died in 30 AD. We see that it marks the beginning of the first 1,000 years, the first day, 30 AD to 1030 AD. Now, 40 years after Jesus Christ died in 70 AD was when the Jewish diaspora happened, where Israel lost their land and were taken as prisoners in different countries, and they went through so much within that first day period. Now, the second day period from 1030 AD to 2030 AD, Israel was to regain their nation, and they actually did. In 1948, Israel regained their nation, and that marked the fulfillment of the prophecy. So we can see that if the events that were to happen in the first day and the second day happened, then we can know for certain that the event for the third day is definitely going to happen. It just makes sense. And this is your history class. Thank me later. So we can see that the third day is between 2030 AD to 3030 AD, and that is the season that Christ is going to return. Now, I know that this season is quite wide because it shows that Jesus Christ can actually come in our own generation or in our children's generation, or in our children's children's generation, and it's still quite wide, but at least we know the season. However, based on the details that the Bible shows us of events that are to take place before the coming of Jesus Christ, what it means is that we need to begin to watch what is happening in the world. And as the events begin to unfold and as the events begin to happen in the world, we can even tell closer when it's going to be. For example, we know that the Antichrist is going to reign for a 7 year period. And we know that when he comes on board, he's going to be all, um, promoting peace and all of that. And we know that within the middle of his reign, within 3.5 years, is when he's going to desecrate the temple in Jerusalem and when he's going to start his full blown war against the Christians and is going to start, all of his wickedness as seen in the scriptures. So we can see already that by the time these events begin to unfold, where the Antichrist, desecrates the temple, we can know that we only have 3.5 years left. And so we can begin to calculate even to the point of knowing the year of his return, but not knowing the day or the hour. So as events begin to unfold, you begin to know closer and closer. Now, if you like to know the key events that are to take place before the coming of Christ, so that you know exactly what to look out for in the news, then please ensure that you click here as we're going to be, listing them out so that you can, see exactly what to be watching out for. As things begin to unfold, things become clearer and clearer, and we know how closer and closer we're getting to this. Now, let me say something. It is important for us to remember that as this end time events begin to unfold, as the Antichrist comes on board, things are going to become a lot more difficult for Christians. And it's important for us to prepare for such times. A soldier must prepare for battle. Even people that are not Christians are preparing for the apocalypse. They know that the world is getting closer and closer into, darker times. And so they are making preparations for that. How much more we that have the prophecy, the true prophecy, and knows what exactly is going to unfold. So we need to, prepare for that. I see videos online about, when Christianity becomes illegal and people are looking at, them being in jail. You being in jail is going to be, bread and butter. But, I'm talking about when they take away your ability to use your cards, when they take away your ability to be able to buy things, to be able to travel, to be able to send your children to school because you refuse a mark. Just look at, the whole C thing that happened in 2020 now. And you could just imagine how it would have been if they said that, without this, you are not able to function, you're not able to buy things, you're not able to go to the supermarket, you're not able to get a job, you're not able to shop, you're not able to buy things. Like it's almost like starving you till you have no choice but to get it because you're kind of like dying either way. So it's important that we begin to set out things in place, structures in place to survive the core 3.5 years period when the Antichrist is going to be going full blown out. And for those who still think that we are going to escape because there's going to be some sort of secret rapture that's going to happen before this. That is a lie. I talked about clear evidence about the post tribulation rapture. If you have not checked that out, please ensure that you check that here as it explains very clearly, giving pure biblical evidence to prove that the post tribulation rapture doctrine is the right one. Now, everything that is in this channel is Bible based. We do not bring our own personal opinions into this. We simply just show you the scriptures for you to see for yourself. So we're going to show you that so you can check that out and it will allow you to see that there is not going to be any rapture before then. So we need to prepare as soldiers. We need to come together. Christians need to understand that we need to come together. We cannot do things in isolation. Okay, so we need to come together in communities and neighborhoods and all of that. And Universal School is going to be preparing in that line, and we're going to be having things throughout the year in regards to that. We're going to be doing programs. I'm already, putting things in the works. So look out for that in the coming months. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope it has, opened your eyes to see so many things, and for you to know that Christ is coming really soon. So when people begin to mock, Christianity and say, "Oh, your Christ is going to come soon," you can say, "I know when He's coming. I know the season that He's coming," and you can begin to prepare your children and your children's children, and begin to, instill the right values in them, so that if it is their own generation, they can actually stand strong. Thank you so much for watching this, and God bless you and keep you and give you the strength to be able to, live for Him, and so that when He comes, you can hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Love you all and have a great day. Bye. If you were blessed by this video, please ensure that you subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell to get notified when we release a new video, and of course, like this video and share with your friends and family so that they can get the juice of the scriptures as well and they can grow spiritually. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Bye.